used to. Carter, stolen by Williams. And look at this. Oh, you don't like that. You don't like NBA basketball.
Fox, goodbye. Oh, if you don't like that, you don't like NBA basketball. The exclamation point from De'Aaron Fox. Oh, if you don't like that, you don't like NBA basketball.
Boy, that's an ESPN highlight right there. Whoa. Carlson comes in. How about this? Holy moly, Jim Bob Foley. That is a major league smush.
Well, the Kings are not going to go 0-82. Light the beam. They get their first W. They beat the Blazers 111-98. A strong third quarter for Sacramento, really stretching this game out, outscoring the Blazers 38-28 in the third. And now they start a 4-game road trip tomorrow in Salt Lake City. How are you, everybody? Welcome to the postgame show. Grant Napier, Ryan in Sacktown. We take your phone calls, your chat messages. So happy to have you here after a Kings W. Light the beam.
The chat just needed a little beam in their life, Grant. They're much happier today.
Yes, very much so. Yes. No way you can lose to these Portland Trailblazers, right?
No. So happy to see the Kings come out in that second half, Grant, and just show some energy. They go 11 from 14 from the field. It's a pretty damn good stretch of basketball, no matter who you play.
The free throws for the Kings so far this season have been a real bright spot, and I think DeMar DeRozan has a lot to do with that.
Certainly. And you got to build on it. So you've got the foundation now, but also you saw some of the low spots. That's where Portland came back a little bit in the fourth quarter. They were watching DeMar work. You got to move around him, but a big change from last year nonetheless.
Jay kills me. Obviously, Brown got on the same page with his assistant coaches. Much better second half. Hey, you know what? It's always good to start off the show with a little humor, right?
Good job, Jay. Good job. They got it figured out, huh?
We take your phone calls. All right. We are happy to have your phone calls. So give us a shout, chat messages, whatever else you want to discuss here with the Kings as they win it 111-98. And again, on the road for 4, beginning tomorrow against the Jazz, who lost in Dallas tonight. The final was 110-102. Also, the Lakers lose their first game of the year. The Suns win 109-105. That was a really good game. It was close back and forth. Denver wins in overtime. Chicago beats Memphis. You have Houston winning at San Antonio. Those are some of the games involving the Western Conference teams.
Yeah, Utah, a big hit to their lineup. Taylor Hendricks suffered a horrific leg injury tonight. They had to bring the stretcher onto the court. He is out for the season. So certainly that's going to be a wrench thrown into their plan for tomorrow night.
Yeah, that's terrible. Terrible. Shout out to Kevin Herter, says, Tony, his defense looks way better previous years with the Kings. I applaud the efforts this season. Do you think his defense looks better than in the past?
Yes, his hands are much more active. He's getting in passing lanes, getting deflections. Certainly, good point.
All right, happy to see that. 111-98 the final. Give us a call if you want to get in on the show. We are happy to be here on the post game. If you have not yet subscribed to the channel, please do so and give us a thumbs up. We would greatly appreciate that. We'll be doing it all again tomorrow. Ryan with the pregame show, followed by Jerry Reynolds and halftime, and then we'll do it again a little less than 24 hours from now because the game starts 1 hour earlier because it's in Mountain Time.
This is true. And then the Kings after that one tomorrow night head out to the East Coast, Napes.
Yep. They have a couple games on the East Coast. They got to hit Atlanta. They got to hit Toronto. They've got, they got games they really should win on this trip, but I think it's more up to the Kings than their opponent. If they play the way they're capable of, they're going to get several wins on this road trip.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And this is the way that you kick it off. You get a little beam in your life. You see it as you fly out of Sacramento, and hopefully you see it when they fly back as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. You will see the beam when you fly out of SMF to Salt Lake City. That's a very good point. So after Utah, you go to Atlanta, then Toronto on a back-to-back, and then you wrap up the trip on Monday in Miami against the Heat. A week
Typical,
from tonight.
Hey, Grant, speaking of Miami, since we have a rant with Grant segment,
Yes.
do you know who that statue
Oh my
they
God.
put in front of the arena is for? I couldn't make it out.
It's embarrassing.
How do
Seriously.
you do that?
They got to do another one. That is a rant with Grant. You're exactly right. Give us some rant ideas, and I will do that. Yeah, okay. So if you didn't know that a statue was going to be unveiled for Dwyane Wade, and the statue did not have a jersey number, it was just the statue, and you polled, let's say, 20,000 Miami fans, and you had them come in front of the statue, and they had to fill out a multiple choice question of like 6 names. Okay?
Yeah.
It's Dwyane Wade wouldn't even get it. One person would say, yeah, that's Dwyane Wade.
Not even close.
How embarrassing is that for the person that made that statue?
Well, I just, like you said, how does it get past so many different, layers? In fact, the person that made it was the same one that made one of the Kobe statues as well.
Really?
Yes.
I was not aware of that.
Yes.
Well,
that was a big part of the process.
The person was either intoxicated while doing the Dwyane Wade statue, or had a blindfold on, or he just doesn't like the Miami Heat and he's just playing a bad joke on them. I don't really know.
That's an expensive joke. And I mean, if you're Dwyane Wade, how can you act excited?
You can't.
There's a problem there.
Yeah, they have to redo that. They have to do it again.
Yeah.
There's just no way.
It looks like a mix of Wade and Shaq. And I'm being generous by giving some Wade in there.
When I couldn't believe it. I'm just like everyone else, I could not believe it. Could not believe it at all. Oh well. Yeah, I could do a rant on that. I can do a rant on a lot of things, and I'm happy to do a rant on a lot of things. So, we're good. Give me some ideas, folks. Give me some ideas. But let's talk about this game. 111-98, a big third quarter. The game was a little bit closer than I thought it should have been at the half. I thought the Kings in the final minute and a half of the second quarter, they were able to outstretch their lead. But the third quarter, they came out and they were ready to go.
Yep, firing on all cylinders. They pushed the pace. That's the pace the Kings want to play at. De'Aaron Fox had the ball in his hands a little bit more. And Grant, Kevin Huerter, we talked about his defense a second ago. He has made this offense better through 3 games.
Yes. Yep. He's the one guy that a lot of Kings fans like to jump on and malign. And because of his opening night game against Minnesota, where he had not played in months and was a little rusty, but I thought he played pretty well against the Lakers, and I thought he played very well tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. And playing a decent amount of minutes for coming back off of the injury he did, being off the floor as long as he has. And it's been within the flow of the offense, too. That's only going to help the Kings, Grant, spread the floor out if Kevin is able to shoot the ball as effectively as he has the last couple of nights.
So we'll see if it can carry over until tomorrow against the Jazz. I really think the Kings can win 3 games on this trip. I think winning both the Atlanta and Toronto games will be hard. I think they'll win one of the 2, but that's a very difficult back-to-back. I think they can beat Miami, but I think the Kings can go 3-1 on this road trip. I really do.
Yeah, I agree with you. Miami has always been a little bit of a tough place, but they pull through there. They're always competitive games for the most part. If you look at one, maybe Atlanta with Trae Young, although the Kings defense, I have to hand it to them, on-ball defense has been much better through the first few games.
And then they come home and take on Toronto, which will be a very difficult game because you're on the East Coast. You fly home right after the game against Miami, and you only have 1 day off. So we know what happened last year on those trips from the East Coast and their first home game back. But all in all, listen, you're 1-2 now, and tomorrow you're taking on a desperate Jazz team. They're 0-3. They're 0-3.
Yep. 0-3, and they had 4 starters in double digits tonight. So it's not like they're playing bad basketball. They've had some tough opponents, and we saw them in the preseason. The Kings, obviously were beaten by them, but Utah has always been a little bit of a bugaboo for the Kings when they get them on the second night of a back-to-back.
Anything concern you about the game tonight from Sacramento's perspective?
Yeah, the bench. Still the bench. You got to do better with the bench points. Before the subs came in, the Kings only had 18 points off of the bench, most of those credited to Malik Monk. And again, I'll go back to the lack of movement. The movement is still bothering me on offense. The fact that the Kings can't figure out a zone offense when you have a guy like DeMar DeRozan, Grant, you've got a guy like Sabonis, guys that fit perfectly in the middle of that zone. That's troublesome because the Kings are going to get hit with that throughout the season. How about you?
I'm with you. It's not that difficult. You got to first of all get the ball in the middle, and then that's where the ball needs to go, and then it can be distributed to the wings. I'm with you on that. I'll tell you what concerns me, and I've been talking about this for a couple of years now. Keegan Murray's offense is too inconsistent for me, and I know he does a lot of good things for the team, and I know he's good, but I see games like this where he's 2 of 9, misses all 3 of his threes. He's in his 3rd year. I'm looking for more consistency from him, and I'm not seeing it right now.
Yeah, and I think it's that 3 ball, right? The 3 ball for Keegan a lot of times is all or nothing. They're all going in, or you see a night like tonight, and whether that's just him getting used to his growing body or a little bit of the defensive asks, it has to get better. I mean, he's going to be on the court. He is one of your best players, but you got to get more consistent there.
All right. Again, give us a call if you want to talk about the contest. We'll do it all again tomorrow. 111 to 98 is the final. Want to tell you about New Works Plumbing. They've got a fixed view, and they're available around the clock 24/7 for your plumbing needs and repairs. Just go to sackserviceplumbing.com or call 916-713-1010. That's New Works Plumbing. They've got a fixed view. And don't forget about Bennett's. Their happy hours daily, 2 to 6, Sacramento, Roseville, the West Side Grill in Rockland. Go to Bennett'sRestaurants.com to make a reservation. Prime seafood and steak at Bennett's, their weekend brunch, and so many other opportunities for you to really enjoy yourself, including holiday parties. They've got tremendous private rooms. You'll love them. Just give Bennett's a call. Go to their website. Check out everything. Bennett'sRestaurants.com. That's Bennett'sRestaurants.com.
I'm craving Bennett's right now. That New York Prime.
Too. Oh, God.
After a win, a beam, medium rare. Come on.
Come on now, right?
We could put our order in, Bennett'sRestaurants.com. They're accepting to-go orders.
I doubt they would deliver it to me, but I can always try, okay?
Tell them there's a beautiful statue that you want them to see.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. I won't be holding my breath for me to call Bennett's and see if I can get that New York delivered to me tonight, okay?
Fair enough. Hey,
Oklahoma City right now is the only team in the West with still winless. All right, everyone's got a loss now. Phoenix, the Lakers, 3-1. Dallas, the Clippers, the Warriors, the Pelicans, the Timberwolves, 2-1. And the Warriors are going to be without Steph Curry for a minimum of 2 games.
Yep, little ankle injury. And what's impressive about the Thunder is the fact they're doing it without Hartenstein. One of the pieces that they expected to mix right in with the hand injury, he's out 6 weeks. Yep. So not a huge surprise. What about Memphis? Has anything surprised you about them yet, Grant?
A little inconsistent, a little Jekyll and Hyde so far. They lose to the Bulls tonight. You know, they lost against Houston, and they continue their road trip and get a big win. A little up and down right now. A little up and down.
Yeah, Zach Edey.
Jaren Jackson missed the first 2 games also, so I have to factor that in.
It's a good point. Zach Edey figuring it out. NBA regular season basketball to be expected. Klingon, same thing tonight for Portland. Growing into the body.
Yep. I think, when you look at all these teams, and I still keep saying this, and I know people are tired of me saying I need 10 to 15 games to evaluate a team. That's particularly true of Memphis because no Morant last year for most of the season.
Right.
Now you have a new big man in Zach Edey. You don't have Steven Adams, who was hurt last year. My point is it's a different lookup of a team, different makeup. And so I've got to really watch them play 15 or 20 games. And until I'm able to do that, I can't give you a real good read on Memphis. I would say this. I think they're going to be in the playoff hunt. I don't think they're going to disappear. I don't think they're going anywhere. And again, through 4 games, they are 2-2.
Yeah, and I would expect what we've seen from the Western Conference so far in the early season. That's what we're going to see all year from many of these teams. If you look at the games so far that have been played in the West, a lot of them have been close. Not a ton of blowouts. Yep. Houston, gets a win tonight. They get back to 500. Harrison Barnes, only 2 points.
Yep. The Jazz, by the way, are the only team in the West now without a win.
Well, hopefully that remains the same come tomorrow night. Hey, Grant, what's the travel like getting to Utah? Big deal?
You lose an hour. You get in late. It's a hour and 20-minute flight from Sacramento. You lose an hour, but it's not a big deal. I mean, it's not a big deal. But anytime you lose time flying at night, like going from Sacramento to Denver was the worst back-to-back. We never got into the hotel before 3 a.m.
That's a long night. That is a long night.
The Kings will check into their hotel in Utah at about, by the time they get their bags and get there, it will be 2 a.m.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, and you got to remember this is a lot different than going to Utah and coming back, because there's much more luggage on the plane because you're going away for a week. And I'm not only talking about the personal belongings, I'm talking about all the equipment that has to be taken on the airplane. Multiple sets of jerseys, multiple cases and cases and cases of equipment and everything like that. And it just takes much longer on these trips to unload the plane, put it on the truck. Of course, the bus doesn't wait for the truck. The bus gets to the hotel, but then you got to wait for the truck to show up. Then you got to unload the truck. Then, it's much different than a 1-game trip as opposed to a 4-game or a 5-game trip. Much different. It takes a lot longer for all of that stuff.
Makes sense. I wish they would just go back to the white jerseys at home and the dark jerseys on the road. I wish they'd make it simple.
It wouldn't surprise me if it would not surprise me if they're going to be wearing 3 different types of jerseys on the road, which makes it a pain in the ass for the equipment people. It really does. It's just so unnecessary to carry that many, and then you have to carry a backup uniform. I mean, it's just, there's a lot of stuff that you take on the airplane. A lot of stuff.
Yeah. What did everybody in the chat think of Trey Lyles going Hulk Hogan tonight with his jersey? midway through the second quarter on his coming out of his first rotation, maybe it was his second rotation, he was frustrated. He got banged around a couple times, and as he came out of the game, Grant, no joke, from the neck down, just Hulk Hogan his jersey.
Well, I'm glad that he didn't have like a Make America Great Again shirt, because, we would have had another firestorm on social media, and I would have been able to do another rant and get another 100,000 views, which would have been good for me and my social media account. But I'm glad that he didn't have a political shirt on underneath that, or else we'd have to be talking about that for the next 24 hours.
Yeah. Only a week more, Napes. Only a week more.
Thank goodness. You know what? Not to get off on a tangent. You know what I hate the most about elections? I hate all the political ads that are just jammed down our throat when you watch anything on TV. I'm so tired of them.
Oh, it used to be bad when it was only TV. Now it's your phone. Now
it's everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Everywhere. All right. So the Kings get their first win. The beam is lit, and that is certainly good news. And now it is on to the road. The road trip sets up where, to me, the key to this road trip is the first game, because tomorrow's a winnable game. You should win the game, and it sets the tone for the rest of the trip, in my opinion.
Certainly. And I think the other thing is the rotation. It seems kind of funny to still be talking about it, but, Mike Brown seemed to have a decent rotation tonight. The starters' minutes came down. Obviously, that's because of the win. But what's that look like as we get through the road trip and ultimately back in Sacramento? Does it start to get a little bit more solid?
Very good point. And that is, it will get solid. I think with more repetition, these guys get used to playing with one another. That will happen. It is now time for a rant with Grant. It is brought to you by EDH Motors, Automotive Reimagined. You get more information by going to info@edhmotors.com. This is a long overdue new concept. No obligation to any franchise or big corporation. David and Adam, just two people trying to do something different and better. They offer new vehicle brokerage. They also offer vehicle consignments, where they will sell your vehicle for you. And of course, they can buy your car and will sell pre-owned vehicles. You'll take delivery at their beautiful auto lounge in the El Dorado Hills Town Center. You don't ever have to go into a dealership. You don't talk to a salesperson. You're not dealing with all that pressure and everything else that can happen when you go to buy a vehicle. You're not going to get squeezed into the F&I office. EDH Motors, Automotive Reimagined. Get more information, again, by checking out info at edhmotors.com. Again, that's EDH Motors, Automotive Reimagined. So there's been a lot of talk in the last 48 hours about Mike Brown and his rotation. He was asked about it before the game tonight at length as it related to Keon Ellis. And he gave his reasons for the rotation, and a lot of it had to do with Kevin Huerter. Mike Brown is kind of old school. He doesn't believe that you should lose your job because of an injury. So he made a point before the game tonight that when Kevin Huerter is good, he gets his starting spot back, although he will still have to fight to keep it. And that limits other players such as Keon Ellis. All right. Jerry Reynolds was on with us at halftime tonight, and Jerry said that Mike now was going into his, he's been there 3 years. This is a veteran team. He already knows what he has. And I don't disagree with that. So I'm watching the World Series tonight. I'm watching the Giants game. I'm following the Kings game. And I start getting all these messages on my phone from Katie and a comment that she made during the game talking about Mike Brown's rotations. All right. And I thought that the individual that sent me this probably misheard what Katie said, because there's no way in the world it made any sense to me. But then I got several more messages on my phone that Katie said that part of Mike Brown figuring out his rotation is figuring out his new assistant coaches. There are times when it's better to not say anything than to make stupid ass comments like that. Comments that can't be further from the truth than that comment. Mike Brown's rotations have absolutely nothing to do with any assistant coach, present, former, or some assistant coach that may be coming in the future. It doesn't freaking matter, okay? It doesn't matter. I don't know why a comment like that would be made, because it is stupid. It's stupid. It's embarrassing. Stop it with the nonsense. Please stop it. And that's my rant for today.
I was trying to make it make sense. You just can't. Searching for a basketball explanation. You just can't. The next one that's going to come up? Can we just say mid-range jump shot or the mid-range? It's just midi now. Midi. With the midi. He's a midi assassin.
I thought Mike Brown explained it pretty well before the game tonight. He went into depth in it. I may not agree with what he said, but he wasn't evasive to the question. He gave it thought. It was a 2.5 to 3 minute answer. I respect him for that.
He's been consistent too. It's a very similar answer he has given. Actually gave it before the last preseason game as well. It's just tonight he readdressed it because of Keon Ellis.
And he didn't say anything about the assistant coaches confusing him with his rotations either.
No, that is a good point. He didn't throw him under the bus, Grant.
No.
Good team player.
It's just anyway, I guess it's true, right? I didn't watch the game. You said it. I didn't watch the Kings feed. So it's true. That was said.
100% true.
Wow.
100% true. Yes.
Wow.
Sacramento fan says, Midi grinds my gears. Yes. The other one that grinds my gears really quick, and then we'll move off the point? The crock pot comments.
What's that?
He's got his crock pot out because he's cooking. In what world does a basketball player have a crock pot with them in a basketball arena? Is that in your pocket? Shorts don't have pockets. Come on.
Oh, my God.
And I'm being kind. Yes.
No words. I'm not normally speechless. No words.
Well, then I might as well make you more speechless, my friend.
I'm waiting. Oh, my God. What's wrong with you?
I'm just saying, we need
is
help
that?
from the chat. Who is?
So if you took if there was no number on that jersey, and let's
Right.
you know what you would say if there was no number on that jersey? You go, oh, that's nice. It's just a statue representing the Miami Heat team and franchise. That's not an individual player. You're right. Wouldn't you would just say somebody made a nice statue, put a Miami jersey to represent the entire franchise. It's not anyone in particular. It's just a basketball player.
Yeah, and maybe the statue was sponsored by Mr. Clean.
Mr. Clean. That's who that looks like. You're right, Mr. Clean.
Got a little Mr. Clean going there. No, it looks like your local. You know what it is, Grant? It's like your local rec league gym hero. The guy that scores 37, just missing the headband there.
It's embarrassing. That statue is embarrassing. I mean, Dwyane Wade is Mr. Miami Heat. He should demand that be redone.
And let's go a step further too. The body style. Dwyane's not that buff. Look at those arms.
He probably doesn't mind that part of it.
Of course not.
Like if somebody made a statue of me and I was buffed, I'd be like, well, okay.
Yeah, I'm not mad at it. Yeah. I guess there are some good reasons for AI. Maybe they should have used it this time. Oh, man.
Somebody asked, is the link to the call not working?
It should be working. Let me put it back in there for you one more time. That is odd. I was wondering why we're not getting any calls.
Yeah.
Here we go. Try this one. Should be the same link.
Also, we got some new merch available at my website, ifyoudon'tlikethat.com. And then when you go to ifyoudon'tlikethat.com, just hit the shop button and then click on the link to visit our new shop page is what it says. And you can look at the new merch. Right now, there are 3 new items on the webpage, and there will be several more in the next hour, hours, or days. We don't have real control of how quickly it's loaded in the process, but there is more merch coming for you. But currently, there are 3 new items for you at ifyoudon'tlikethat.com.
Much more on its way, like Grant said, any minute, any second. Let's bring Jay into the conversation. I'm with Grant and Ryno.
I'm telling you, I've been looking on that Indeed right now and seeing if the Kings are hiring for any coaching positions. The game plan, I called you earlier, Ryno, and I called you earlier, Grant, and I told you, Jeremy Grant is the person in a straitjacket tonight. He's on lockdown, and look at his stat line. He scored 7 points.
Yep. Good job there, Jay.
If he gets loose like he did in his first couple games, it's going to be a long night for Sacramento. So I just wanted to hop in and say that,
I don't know if it would have been a long night. I don't necessarily agree with you there. I mean, he could have gone off and the Kings could have still won the game, but you did call it before the game, and I give you credit for that.
Yeah. That's all I wanted to hop in and say. So, let me know if you know any positions open or whatever you guys want to sub in, Mike Brown or,
I mean, Jay,
we would give you a job, but then that would affect Mike Brown's rotations and minutes, and we don't want to confuse the coach by having another new coach on the staff. So you would certainly understand that, I hope.
Yeah. But Grant, real quick before I hop off, you've traveled with the Kings teams in the past, right? Correct? Since you were with
only 32 years.
Wow, that's incredible. I'm so impressed. I'm stuttering. That's awesome. That's an awesome opportunity you had. So they would be flying out tonight and stuff like that. Okay.
Yeah, they fly out tonight. Yeah,
I heard. Is it true that they have to get each individual player their own room?
Yes, that's part of the NBA contract. Each player gets their own room.
I don't know.
This isn't high school.
Yeah.
This isn't high school, dude.
Yeah.
This isn't AAU basketball.
No.
Each player gets each player gets the NBA per diem. My last year there, the per diem was I think $128 a day, which by the way is taxable. It goes as income, so you're taxed on it. But I think the NBA per diem when I last did the games was I think $128 a day. I'm sure it's more now. So each player gets that. They get it handed to them on the airplane before the plane takes off wherever they're going. And everyone gets their own room. Absolutely.
Yeah, they shouldn't be. I know it's business, and that's the right integrity thing to do. Integral thing is, to give them a per diem daily food allowance. But these guys are millionaires. You
That's in
don't
the
need.
collective bargaining agreement.
Yeah, I know,
That's yeah.
and that's how you run
Hey,
business.
this is the freaking NBA. This is like big time sports. You understand that, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we're not talking about, getting bunk beds at the Motel 6. I mean,
Look,
we're talking
yeah.
about the National Basketball Association. We're talking about a multi-billion-dollar entity. Okay, they're staying at
I'm a
five-star,
YMCA coach, Grant.
five-star hotels, Ritz-Carltons, Four Seasons, just to give you an idea. And they're not like staying
Oh
at
yeah, top
the
tier.
Holiday Inn Express, okay?
Right, top tier. I got you. All right. Well, I'll let you guys take more calls, but yeah, just I'll call tomorrow with a new scouting
Thank
report
you.
and let you know the game plan.
Now, for many years when I was doing the games, I felt that the team was worthy of staying at a Motel 6 as opposed to the Ritz-Carlton, but they didn't listen to me.
Jay's sitting here thinking they picked the hotel based on free breakfast. Come on, my man. Come on. Let's go back to the phones. Jay Cal, welcome in tonight.
Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for taking my call. Great win tonight. Overall, all the starters played really well. I mean, Keegan was a little bit off, but I mean, he's like on and off, But Kevin Herter played a really good game. Did you see that the Kings are leading the league in the free throws? That was surprising to see.
Yep.
I don't tell me who's leading the league in anything when teams have only played 3 and 4 games. It's meaningless.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. One question, Grant. You guys were talking about the whole traveling with the team. What was the worst city to visit, to travel to?
Well, that's subjective. I mean, what I would consider the worst city to visit might be different. I always hated going to Detroit because we used to play at the Palace in Auburn Hills, and we used to stay in the middle of nowhere, Rochester, Michigan, and I can't remember the other town that we stayed at. And it was always freezing, and there was nothing to do, and you just wanted to get in there and get the hell out of there. So that was one. I mean, the worst city to go to now in the league, and I don't even think it's close, as Memphis. Downtown Memphis is an absolute dump. It is not safe. There's nothing to do. The hotel sucks. It is a very unnerving, awful city. Memphis, Tennessee, by far the worst stop on the circuit. Horrible hotel and a very unsettling downtown that's getting worse and worse and worse.
Oh, fair enough. All right, guys. Hey, light the beam.
Light the beam.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I'm going to throw in a college one. Laramie, Wyoming. Laramie, Wyoming was so bad that we bussed from Colorado Springs.
Wow.
To Laramie. We would get to a motel. We would spend the afternoon at the motel, play the game, back to Colorado Springs.
Wow.
Done. Yes.
Well, I always remember driving through Wyoming, when I had to go from east to west or west to east. And man, that state, there's nothing in that thing. You want to talk about open country. Wow.
Yes. We used to see it would be barbed wire fences, open fields, like you said, and your cell phone would come up with these weird, codes for roaming. It was the weirdest thing, but a lot of people like Wyoming if you're outdoorsy.
Yeah, no, I can understand that. I wouldn't like it in the wintertime, but yeah, I get that.
Totally get that.
Absolutely. Hey, I want to tell you about Sunrise Landing. It is Calusa's newest residential community from Blazona Development. That's right. It's called Sunrise Landing, and you can get all the information by going to calusasunrise.com. Check out the various models. Remember, no Mellorews and no homeowners at Calusa Sunrise. Good location, access to I-5, Highway 45, Highway 20, and it's adjacent to the Calusa Golf and Country Club. Again, just go to calusasunrise.com. You'll get all the information you need. That's calusasunrise.com and Sunrise Landing. Kings win it tonight, 111-98, their first win of the year, and now they embark on a 4-game road trip that begins tomorrow in Salt Lake City against the Jazz. Then it's on to Atlanta, then Toronto, then Miami. Nice
That
for the
is
NBA
correct.
to do a geographical trip, huh? Let's see. Let's go to Atlanta. Let's go from Atlanta to Miami. No, let's not go on a quick flight from Atlanta.
Right.
No, let's go all the way up to Toronto on
Right.
a 2.5-hour flight. Let's go through customs. Let's get into our hotel at 3 a.m. And then after that, let's go all the way back to Miami.
They're keeping the Kings away while the mobs go to praise the Dwyane Wade statue.
There you go.
They knew it was coming out. They wanted
That's
to
right.
make sure that the Kings were not part of that ruckus.
Yeah.
The Kings have a few East Coast swings like that where the travel is a little bit weird this year. We've talked about it before. I think we should acknowledge De'Aaron Fox. 10,000 career points tonight, surpasses that. Big thing for his career.
He had a good second half tonight.
He did. He set the tone. Again, we talk about the bad runs, or we've talked about them in the last 2 games, but tonight when you go 11 for 14 from the field consecutively, that is pretty damn good in the NBA. Really good.
Absolutely. No question. So 111-98, we're going to do it all over again tomorrow with Ryan with the pregame show, halftime show, and the postgame show. Then remember on Wednesday at 3:00, Sean Salisbury to talk about college and the National Football League. That is 3:00. And I don't know if we've got Jerry confirmed for after that, but hopefully we can do a show with Jerry on Wednesday too.
Yeah, we're hoping to. Nothing confirmed yet, but we are out and efforting.
Great. But tomorrow, again, Kings basketball on the road to start a 4-game road trip. And then Sean Salisbury Wednesday at 3:00 right here, if you don't like that.
Kings
not
win.
To talk about. Yeah.
No, there's really not. Light the damn beam. It's about time. One of hopefully many more this year.
Indeed. All right. I'll tell you what, there's a lot going on. We had football. We had the World Series. We've got all the NBA. It's been a long day. So why don't we wrap it up, and then we'll look forward to being back with you tomorrow right here with, are you going to do a 2:00 show tomorrow or no?
Yep, I'll be here at 2:00, Kings Court. Come join us.
Awesome. 2:00, followed by all the Kings coverage right here on If You Don't Like That. Kings win 111-98. We really appreciate everyone. Thanks for joining us here on the postgame show. 2:00 tomorrow right here with Ryno in Sacktown. Have a good night, everybody.